Alrighty, guys. Great American classic car we're working on here. I get all kinds. I get stuff from all the way up to 2019 cars. Um, I try my best to stay away from real old vehicles, even though I like working on them. I have a bunch of that stuff of my own, but for the business sake, it's better to keeping somewhat newer stuff as much as possible. I mean, like above 85. When you start working on carburetors, time can be very consuming, and it's hard to charge for because people's perception of older vehicles doesn't require time or smarts. It's an old vehicle, so you really it shouldn't be like $20 to go through a quadrajet carburetor. And you're like, well, have you ever seen the inside of a quadrajet carburetor? Do you know what makes it all? They don't understand that. So it's a hit and miss whether or not you can deal with older vehicles and make any money. And that's why a lot of people have trouble with the older vehicles getting them worked on. And so what we're doing today is 2000 model Chrysler 300. Guys, there used to be gazillions of these running up and down the road. We're going to just do a quick tune-up. I've got a check engine light with a number 3 cylinder misfire. Customers bought their own parts, so we're just going to do an install. And this technique for tuning up a vehicle can work on other things because I'm going to show you how to be really careful with connectors to save what's there so they'll snap back on, especially with older plastic. So thank you guys for clicking over here and joining in. We'll Fix It Team Peeps. Let's get with it. All right, back again with this little deal, which is the metal part out of the rubber of a windshield wiper blade. I know they make fancy kits with all this stuff in it, but I've actually had better luck working with these here. I kid you not. So I've ground this end down just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get underneath these connectors. This one here has already suffered the damage of somebody else. I haven't even started this job yet, but that's I think the customer was like, well, I can get these in. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with trying to do things on your own. And because that connector, I don't think was broke when I looked at it, when he came by last week with it. So, well, when I put this back on, I'll use a little bit of weather stripping adhesive, and I'll dab a little bit on the very corner of the coil pack. And that way it's not too much that I can't get it back off, but it's just enough to keep it from backing down and backing off of there. So, basically we're going to just get up underneath these and just release them very carefully like this. That way you don't put a lot of pressure on it and break. And you just want to listen for it to click. This one's already clicked, but we've got to just gently work it. I know this is an old vehicle, but I like to try to be really careful with stuff because I want things to be nice when I put them back together. There we go. We didn't break anything. I just kind of see. I mean, I know, right? You think you just snap and go, and that kind of haste. This one here didn't survive. And I tried really careful on that one there. It's inevitable. You can break these, but we're going to do all we can to save them. Let's see how many we can save. And just moving it was all it took. There, that one came off with success. Just touching it, not even putting any pressure. So we're doing our best. That one, yep, that one survived. Okay, so we'll deal with that. So I'm gonna do a big. I got a regular. Oh no, there the camera going. Okay, so we'll set that back up. Alrighty, I got Spike Lee doing my camera work. Okay, or no, it's the dude from it's Opie. Opie's running the camera. He's the director of this, so deal with it. We're gonna take some coil packs, screws out. So we're gonna use the Torx bit. What is this? A T27 maybe? Yeah, I'll find it in a minute here. T25, where we at? Yeah, T25. Okay, good deal. Now, this is not an impact adapter, but it'll be all right. I think we're gonna try. We're gonna bump it. See what happens. Ah, yeah, there we go. Get my magnet. Yeah, I got real fancy tools here, guys. Doing it. With the old school. All right, get these out. Hopefully we don't see oil in these holes. That'll be a blessing. That way we can move on. I got a lot of work to get out today and tomorrow and the day after. And so I'm kind of sliding this job in between a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh, we gotta get right over here. Here we go. Remove all this, ease them out of here. That one looks good. There's no oil in that hole. Good sign, good sign. You can see that there's some rust accumulation there, possibly due to a coil pack boot failure, and it could be an arc coming out of the side of it, but yeah, okay. Moisture gets in there too, so we can't discount that. But a lot of times I see arcs like that. That's usually, or arcs, or rust like that. It's due to some look, that one right there. Nothing, it's not in the hole. Ooh, boy, that thing, oh my goodness, when I get that plug out, you guys are gonna be like OMG and stuff. I think we found our cylinder number 3 misfire. Let's see if we can get down in there to it. Can you see that in the hole? Oh, there it is. Hard to get in the camera. Look at the top of that plug. Let's get that thing out of there. All right, get this thing out of here. Well, that thing wasn't very tight. I just noticed that. I didn't loosen that prior to turning on the camera, but I did knock the camera all sideways. All right. The director's gonna be like, you better quit. That's high dollar. Wow, oh my goodness. Whoa, the whole electrode is gone off of it. That's gotta be like one of the, like, dookiest. That's it, the end's gone. No, there's no end on it. Look at that. Who done that? Wow. It's the end inside of the coil. We're gonna replace these coils, by the way. Wow, no, it's not. Huh. Let's get some more of these out to see what we're looking at. Wow, the whole electrode's just gone off of it. Thank you for not focusing the camera. Look at that. I don't like Bosch spark plugs anyways. That's a weird thing. I've had a lot of weird stuff out of those. Get the rest of these out and let's take a look. They're not very tight. Wow, they should be a lot tighter than that. You can tighten up a spark plug on an aluminum head better than that. That's part of why the 4.6 motors would blow a plug out, because somebody would just barely tighten the spark plug. Say, that's aluminum head, you better not tighten it down too much. It's like, no, you can do that. Why does that plug look so worser than the others? My grandma would be mad at me for saying the word worser. Let's see here. Yeah, they're just not tight at all. That's not good. I mean, they didn't blow out, but when that happens, it usually, like that. That's why that plug is so dark. That's actually stuff that was bleeding by during the combustion process that caused that to happen. They're definitely worn. They're all the original. I don't know why that one looks so worser than the other. My grandma says, stop using the word worser. Dang, look at that. You see that there? I'm not loosening these up prior to the camera being on. That's just how it was. Wow, see, that's exhaust gas bleeding by the threads of the spark plug because it's not properly tightened down. Now, I'm hoping they haven't damaged the threads right. Oh my goodness, look at that, not good. You know, some people will work the plug back and forth, and you can do that, but I'm gonna try to keep going the one way, because typically when you start going back and forth, you start pulling threads out with it. This is because of the combustion gases going by, boogering up the threads. It wasn't tight, but it was just tight the whole way. We'll oil these threads up really well, going back in with it. Look at that, from the stuff going by. I got a longer extension, but I'm just not using it because I decided just to grab what I had laying around real quick. Bosch plugs are cheap. I don't like them. Chrysler takes a champion plug OEM, and that's what the customer did get. We've got a little bit of oil in that hole, but I don't think it constitutes pulling all the valve covers and everything off of this old car, because it's not that bad, and that's not the skip. I think some of that oil is probably blow by from there. They just don't tighten the plugs because it's not running down into the hole. Let's get the new ones in and they'll see what happens. Under the hood. So, I'm gonna gap the plugs. It calls for a 50 thousandths gap. Now, I'm gonna check it first. I know I might breathe a sigh of breath because I've seen people do this wrong so many times. It's at 45 thousandths right now. And the tip of the spark plug is very, 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 very fine. Let me get into the camera there where you can see it. It's an iridium tip plug. And terrible focus it is. You don't take this thing and go and gap the plug. Don't do that. And if you want to, check this out. I'm going to throw us back a little bit. Look at this. Does anybody remember this? I can't get in the right camera frame. All right, remember this? It's upside down? Yeah, it's a old-timey spark plug gapper. And that was, you would run that in there and check it. This thing doesn't go to 50 thousandths, so I can't use it. But it has several things in there that was been very handy in its day. You had a thing called a file in here, and it's not anything that they used to conceal or anything with presidential records. That's a totally different video. But this file was used to kind of clean the gap of the plugs, because some kind of old cars just used oil. And then you had a thing called a bin bar. And a bin bar would come out, and you would use this to actually open up the spark plug gap. And it's actually got a measurement as it as it goes along. It goes all the way up to 40 thousandths, but that was what you would use to open it. You can't do that now. Let me show you what you do. I'm going to use these pliers just because it's an example of what I'm going to do. But normally I would take a small pair of like side cutters. And some of your older spark plug gappers had a little thing that looked like a dog bone with a little slot cut on each side. You would grab the electrode right here and you would bend the electrode out. But you want to bend the electrode to open that gap up. So we got to get to 50 thousandths. So I'm going to open it up just a little bit, not touching the tip of the spark plug, but just opening up the gap. And then I'm going to get my gapper that's left me over here, and we're going to recheck to see if we get 50 thousandths. Dead on. So that's how you do that. You don't work this in an iridium tip plug. You'll bend this part down here and break it off, and the spark plug is no good anymore for that. So let's go ahead and do all 6 of these like that, then we'll get them in. Using my wonderful friend, the piece of hose, I'm going to slide that over the end of the plug and use that to thread it in. That way I don't cross thread it. I can't get it in all the way because I got dookie threads because of the blow by that went on. But we'll just install all 6 spark plugs like this here in the order that seems fun to us. Next up will be the coil packs. Yeah, so I'm actually going to crank these things down to see what I can get out of it as far as tightening. All these were really, really loose. I'm probably going 14 foot-pounds of torque. Maybe it's close to 20 almost in some of these. And they're tightening down fine. That's good. I put a little oil on the threads. I didn't use anti-seize. Anti-seize typically is good for certain things, but sometimes in this case it actually causes problems with the aluminum. Sometimes. Just so people know, yes, I applied the lube. Do 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 do. I already started these by hand earlier, by the way. Now I'll go behind with a ratchet and just check everything. And so forth. We'll go around and do that. All right, so we're wrapping up our little tune-up project here on this old classic Chrysler 300 with the big block 3.5 liter V6. what was it? The Magnum 3.5 liter, and well, it says HO. It doesn't say Magnum on it, but remember the old 383s, 440s, the 360 Magnum. That was in the 90s. Okay, check this out. Did the best we could putting them back on. Even putting these back on, I did to be very careful not to break these connectors, and I've used a little dab of weather strip and adhesive to try my best to kind of get these things to stay on. You can zip straps they don't time you try to put it between this wire. Don't ask about that right there. Just don't ask. That works. That'll hold those on there. That, like I said, that was already missing from somebody else working on it. I'm gonna see if I can see it down in the hole. I didn't even look. Sometimes it falls down where you can get to it. I don't see it in there. We would set it on there and just kind of glue it to give it a nice appearance. Let's see if the thing runs okay. Let's crank it up and see how it runs. Going over here to the, let's see. It has the check engine light on. We got to clear. Let's see. Yeah. We'll clear the light, and then we'll drive it. Lighting. Speaking of lighting is very important. It scares me. All right, I'm going to do that. I'll clear the light. We're going to drive it up the road and see how it runs. Well, the old gal runs great. I was concerned when I first fired up because I heard it, but I believe it was just kind of burning off some unburnt fuel in that cylinder. But when I seen the electrodes on the spark plug gone, I was like, gosh, please don't be like got underneath the seat of the valves and damaged them where it has a low idle skip. I did not do a compression test. I'll be honest about that. I was like, yeah, I mean, the electrodes were so thin they probably just wore off and passed right through, no problem. So we're good. I drive it down the road. It runs great. And so we can call that a win. And I did some work and checked the front end out too. And the customer, I got to inform him about some lower control arms that need a replacement and an oil leak that's causing partial, like the rubber where the mounts the control arms is starting to deteriorate due to the oil getting on it. Well, that being said, this thing is done. We can finish it up. And I just want to thank you guys. Please hit that like, subscribe, and share. And, let me know in the comment sections what you think about the video. And I always wave a hand at people when I can. I'm busy, but I check the comments. I give the hearts and I give the updos, and I do my best to interact as much as I can because I do appreciate you out there. It's a big deal. I know why a lot of these people watch this stuff. They don't even care about what I'm doing. They just do it to support what's going on the backside. So thank you very much. And not my backside. All right, guys, I'm out.